Welcome to Southern Soul. I'm your host, Tony Morris. And you may be wondering, why is the show called Southern Soul? Well, the southern part is because originally I'm from Alabama. And the soul part is because, guess what? I'm a psychic medium. And on Southern Soul, together we'll discuss a variety of spiritual topics and also have some stories about my career. So stay tuned for today's episode of Southern Soul. I know for a fact we're all busy. We have busy schedules from the time we wake up until the time we throw our heads on the pillow. So do you wake up, you yawn, stretch, maybe you do some jumping jacks, you go and brush your teeth, you have a little breakfast. You have breakfast, then you brush your teeth. Got it confused there. Get dressed, get in your car, maybe you're part of a kid's carpool for school. Maybe you have to stop by and run some errands in the morning. Then you get to work, and then you have meetings, and then you dash off to that event, or you have lunch. The day just catches up with you, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, all this is happening so fast, and all at the same time. How do you slow it down? How do you catch your breath? Yeah, you gotta take those moments to where you call it a time out. That's right, a time out. Go for a walk between meetings. Close your office door and meditate for 5 minutes. I've done it. Or, and here's a simple thing, take some deep breaths. That's right. Use those lungs, allow them to get to their full capacity because it also stimulates the brain. Oxygen stimulates the brain. And you don't need to be a doctor to know that. It really is very helpful. So those are just some, ways to kind of break up the busyness of the day. But yet there are times when you need a little bit more. You need a little bit more when it comes to spiritual growth or spiritual development. You need a spiritual retreat. And on today's episode of Southern Soul, we'll talk a little later about some opportunities that you perhaps might want to discover when it comes to finding the right spiritual retreat for your needs. But before we talk about spiritual retreats, one of the things we always do on Southern Soul is take a few questions from our viewers. So, why don't we take a few right now? Okay, let's start off with that very first question. Do you watch any of the psychic shows that are currently on television? Not really. And the reason why is because I'm one of those people that really doesn't watch a whole lot of television. But when I do, I kind of binge watch. But I have heard some really exciting reviews from some of the shows that are out there. I know some people watch Hollywood Medium. The Long Island Medium has a great following. There was a TV show on a few years ago called The Ghost Whisperer, and I believe it was on CBS at the time. And I did occasionally watch that because not only did it have some spiritual type moments throughout the show about communicating with those who have moved on, but it was actually quite entertaining. I really enjoyed watching the show. Perhaps I should carve out some time to start watching some of those other spiritual related shows because it could be a part of my growth or my development. But maybe I should start just watching a little bit more television for starters, right? I do have a smart TV now, so that's a big step for me. Otherwise, I was still in the old ages whenever I had the rabbit ears antenna on my top of my television. Wasn't quite that bad, but I needed to get a new TV. All right, second question. Do you ever get mixed signals or unclear messages during a session? That has happened. Think of it like this. If I'm doing work with a client, communication is a two-way street. It's just not me doing all the talking or doing all the predictions of what's coming their way. It's about the exchange of energies is really what it's all about. So if I do have a client that for some reason is just kind of shutting down or doesn't want to participate in the discussion, and it's happened a few times because either they're not ready to talk about it or they're just still unclear about what it is they're wanting to talk about, meaning they've got so many things going on in their head or their mind that they need some clarity or they need a moment to kind of help refocus so that they can feel comfortable talking about it. And when that's happened, yes, I've come up with issues like, why am I seeing this? Well, I don't know, that doesn't make any sense to me. And it's not until later on in our discussion that it makes quite a bit of sense. Let me give you an example. I had a client, she's an artist, and she wanted to know if her near-death experience, if she should still continue to use her near-death experience into her art. So when I was meditating, she was an artist. So when I was meditating, I was shown a certain visual image. And so I said, okay, when it comes to your near-death experience, why am I seeing you walking into this beautiful bathroom and you're getting into this beautiful tub and you're soaking in the tub and then you black out, your face falls into the water drains out, you come to, and you start painting. I said, does that make sense about your near-death experience? No. I was flung from a car. I went through the windshield. That was my near-death experience. And I couldn't let go of that image, the bathtub image, because it was so vivid. So later on in the conversation, it wasn't connecting. And I said, okay, I'm supposed to ask you, have you ever described your near-death experience to, say, some of your friends? Oh, yeah, I've done that with some of my friends. I said, what did you tell them? What was it like? Oh, well, I told them it was like, slipping into a warm bath and enjoying the moment. I went, thank you, because that was what I was being shown. And whenever I was able to help her make the connection, I said, that's why I was seeing the bathtub, because that's how you described it to your friends, even though that wasn't exactly your near-death experience. That's how you shared it with your friends. The light bulb went off with her, she got it, and we were able to have a much deeper conversation. So that's one way of when sometimes a message may not be clear or it may be a little scrambled, and that's up to me to kind of help unscramble it, okay? So thanks for that question. Now the last question is, do you use any special tools or props when you do your consultations? Well, if you mean, do I wear a turban or do I wear a necklace of chicken bones? No. But I do use the Psychic Tarot deck. It's kind of a contemporary version of the traditional tarot cards. And the reason why I use them is just to try to see if there's some kind of overarching theme or a specific area that I should pay closer attention to when it comes time to doing the actual reading. So that's kind of a tool. And then the other tool that I use is really making sure, maybe it's not a tool, it's probably an environmental requirement, we'll say, is making sure that I'm in a quiet space that's free from distractions. Like, I don't want the client's cell phone going off, nor would I want mine going off when we're in the middle of a session, because it's really about that quality time connecting with spirit so that we can really get the information or the insights that can really help make a difference. So thank you for those 3 questions, and hope you'll stay tuned, because we're going to talk about some spiritual retreats that could hopefully make a positive difference in your life. So how many of you out there are ready to start packing your bags and go on a spiritual retreat? There are plenty of spiritual retreats or opportunities to find different types of spiritual retreat around the country and, to be honest with you, around the world. I could be here all day, but what I'd like to do is maybe focus on a few, maybe three spiritual retreats that you might want to consider putting onto your spiritual growth agenda. So let's start with the first one. It's the Edgar Cayce Association for Research and Enlightenment. And some of you may know this, but Edgar Cayce is considered to be the grandfather of the modern Psychic Day movement. That's right, he was born in Kentucky, and what his claim to fame is that he would go into deep trances, deep self-induced trances, where he would have medical readings. He would diagnose people with certain medical ailments. Now, he wasn't a doctor per se. He would then instruct the client to go to their medical doctor for the types of treatment. But he has thousands of documented cases, and all these cases of Edgar Cayce have been preserved and are at this facility in Richmond, Virginia Beach, Virginia. And at the Edgar Cayce Association for Research and Enlightenment, they have a number of different spiritual growth opportunities for people who would like to come to Virginia Beach. So his legacy lives on in a way. And that's kind of nice. And some of the topics for spiritual growth at the Edgar Cayce Institute, they range from things like hypnosis training, meditation training and mentoring, animal communication, past life regression, hypnotherapy, and of course, psychic development. In addition, there's a 6-night wellness retreat that's held along the shores of Virginia Beach at this facility. So if you're interested, definitely check out Edgar Cayce's Association for Research and Enlightenment, and that's on the East Coast. So now let's talk about a couple of facilities and opportunities that are on the West Coast. So those of you in the middle of the United States, you got a choice. You can go to the West Coast or the East Coast. One that I've never been to, but I've driven past it. It's located in Big Sur, California. It's the Esalen Institute. Now, if you've never been to Big Sur, first of all, it's quite a spiritual place to begin with. We're talking jaw-dropping views of the Pacific Ocean, towering redwoods, lots of nature trails, and yes, the Pacific Ocean as it's crashing along the shore. But the Esalen Institute has been around for decades, and it's been has a huge following based on the incredible curriculum that it has developed over the years. Now, it's nestled, like I said, in California's Big Sur, and it offers a whole wide range of self-growth and development workshops. Now, attendees can actually select from a number of different workshops. So let me rattle off a few that you might want to tap into. How many of you have gone through midlife changes? Like, what am I supposed to do next? What do I want to experience? They actually have a workshop that addresses that. I know there's plenty of viewers out there who practice yoga, but maybe you're wanting to learn new ways to tap into yoga, more advanced yoga classes. They offer that. I know many of us have been in romantic relationships, but maybe we have issues with intimacy. They have workshops on connecting with a deeper level of understanding as it relates to love. And then also, you think about it, each of us has a masculine and a feminine set of energies, but at times we're not sure how to blend those two energies to get the most out of our lives. They actually have a workshop for that. And of course, they have workshops on food and nutrition and how food and nutrition can help balance the soul in order for us to get the most out of our lives. And get this, if you're a movie buff, the Esalen Institute even has a spiritual film festival. So don't forget the popcorn if you're going possibly to the Esalen Institute. Again, located in Big Sur, California. Now another West Coast facility, and it's also located in California, is the Chopra Center. It's located just north of San Diego in like the La Jolla area. Again, it's not that far outside of San Diego. And it's named after one of the most well-respected spiritual gurus, teachers of our modern day time, Deepak Chopra. Now this man has written dozens of books on a number of different topics as it relates to spirituality. But he's taking it one step further. He's actually created an entire facility, a campus, if you will, of workshops that allow the human being to tap into their higher level of spiritual growth. Sometimes he takes these workshops on the road, actually. But just outside of San Diego, you can actually go to the campus, the Chopra Center, and participate in a number of different programs that are offered. Just a few would be, tapping into ways to meditate, a deeper understanding of meditation and how it can benefit our lives. They have programs that are specifically related to, say, women's issues, how women can address certain aspects of their lives in order to move themselves further along. And then also, we've got our mind, but then we have our body, and sometimes the mind and the body doesn't want to work together for the best optimal results. They actually have a workshop that helps us align our body and our mind together to help us move forward as well. So, those are just a few of the spiritual retreats that are out there for the viewers to tap into. What I love about the different types of retreats that are out there is they do offer a plethora of just different topics and different opportunities. So don't feel like, if one facility doesn't offer something for you that speaks to you, there's plenty of others out there that certainly would have something that would fit into your lifestyle or things that you're wanting to accomplish and achieve into your life. Now, when it comes to packing for going to one of these spiritual retreats, now obviously you're going to want to take your clothes. You can't leave without having something to wear. But another thing you may want to take is a few journals, because I have a feeling when you go to a spiritual retreat, you're going to be documenting what you've learned, what you've experienced, and possibly even some of the connections and people you've met. It's a whole different way of communicating and getting the most out of your life, because you're actually getting to experience it with other people in a completely different environment where you're actually able to express yourself freely and learn unconditionally. So pack your bags and be sure and check out a spiritual retreat that literally speaks to you. Stay tuned, because we've got one more segment of Southern Soul, and that's the Little Red Wagon segment. Wow, I don't know about you, but I've got a list of places when it comes to spiritual retreats that I would like to experience myself. So, look into it, explore, have fun with it. Now, speaking about spiritual growth, when it comes to spiritual growth, sometimes you've got to get behind the lectern. Yes, get behind the podium and speak up. Tell the universe what you're wanting to know more about, how you're wanting to grow spiritually, and how you want to embrace it. So in today's episode of Little Red Wagon, we're going to bring it down to what it means to you. What does spiritual growth, and when it relates to spiritual retreats, mean to you? And this is my favorite part of the show, because this is where I get to give people a little bit of homework. So in today's part of the Little Red Wagon episode, identify 3 spiritual topics. That's right, 3 spiritual topics that you're wanting to learn more about, or that you're wanting to understand how it could impact your life. Now, these could range from developing your own psychic intuition. This could cover past life regression, connecting with the environment, whatever those 3 spiritual topics are, and place them into your little red wagon. So now it's step 2. Once you've identified 3 spiritual topics, identify the 3 goals or desires as it relates to those 3 spiritual topics, meaning what do you want to get out of those 3 topics in the long run? Your choice. Nobody's telling you what to get out of it, because it's really about your personal growth. So identify those 3 goals and those 3 desires. Now, the final segment of this Little Red Wagon portion is to identify 3 ways that you want to implement this growth or this experience into your daily life. Meaning, why would you go through the effort of identifying the 3 spiritual topics and your 3 goals if you don't do some kind of implementation? Meaning, how do you put it to use? How do you make it a good benefit for your own self, for your own life, for your own development? So there's your homework. That's your homework for Little Red Wagon. Identify the 3 spiritual topics, the 3 goals and desires, and then ultimately 3 ways that you can utilize all of that into your daily life. And that's coming straight from the lectern. You're really telling the universe what you're wanting out of it. Thank you so much for joining us on the latest episode of Southern Soul. And until next time, keep rolling.
We are rolling.
You're sitting here feeling all alone, like all that was special in your life is now gone. But I've got sound advice that you should take to heart. When we leave here, life goes on differently, and the ones we love are still here even when we can't see. So listen with your being and you'll find the place to start, to feel some southern comfort in your soul. A new way of listening to the things that we know, that our friends and loved ones tell us life just begins again. So take some comfort in your soul, my friend.
Yeah.